overwhelming demand, the Summer of '99 Tour returns. July 27th, FedEx Forum. With special guests 3 doors down. And Mammoth WVH. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Creed returns, the Summer of '99 Tour.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Double your chances to win all month long in March with 2 big promotions. On Fridays, embrace the madness and win a share of $150,000 in cash and free play. On Saturdays, starting March 8th, go for the gold and win your share of up to $10,000 in cash and free play in the 80K Fool's Gold giveaway. Enjoy live entertainment all month long and play for your chance to win big in March only at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 or up. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
From the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right, I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from the Built Ford Tough studio, FedEx Forum, downtown Memphis. Bennett Doyle's right there. He's producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope you're ready to launch some Thank You Nico chants tomorrow night, because that's what we're doing inside FedEx Forum, because that's when an elimination game is set for downtown Memphis. Grizz Mavericks, 8:30 on ESPN. Tickets available, Grizzlies.com. It's time to beat these goofies and thank Nico for trading Luka Doncic, because that means the Grizz don't have to risk getting Luka in downtown Memphis tomorrow night. We're going to talk through it momentarily. First, quickly, though, let me set today's schedule for you in the next segment. About 20 minutes, Mike Wallace going to join me, senior editor, Grind City Media. Nobody better to get us updated on all things Grizzlies on this Thursday than Mike Wallace. He's going to be here around 10:20. Finish talking to him, take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, Aaron Bradshaw, a McDonald's All-American just 2 years ago, spent Wednesday visiting the University of Memphis. Could he be a future Tiger? We'll discuss that in about 40 minutes. There was a interesting recruiting development in college basketball yesterday that could be a sign of things to come. I'll walk you through it, tell you what it means. We'll do that in just a bit. The OTC, Roman Reigns, has announced that he will not be wrestling much longer. Disclosed to Vanity Fair that his contract with WWE expires after next year's WrestleMania, and after that, he said he's probably only going to do this about 1 or 2 more years. Said it's time for him to find a less physical form of entertainment to consume his time. We'll lament the soon-to-be loss of a legend. We'll do it in the third segment. Former Duke star Con Knippel has made it official. He's going to be a one-and-done entry into the NBA draft. Tell you where he should get picked a little later on in the show. And ESPN has announced that Lee Corso's final appearance on College Game Day is going to be week 1 of this upcoming season. End of an era. We'll discuss during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's carryout and we'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. Got a lot to get to. But I did want to start with your Memphis Grizzlies, because game 84 of the 2024-25 season is going to be played tomorrow night right here in downtown Memphis. Grizz Mavericks inside FedEx Forum. Tip set 8:30. You can watch it on ESPN. Tickets available right now. Grizzlies.com. The Grizz are listed as 6.5-point favorites.
Okay.
As previously noted, this is an elimination game. The loser, done for the season. The winner is going to advance to a 7-game series against the 68-win Oklahoma City Thunder. Neither outcome feels great, if we're being honest. This is a stupid position that the Grizzlies have put themselves in by de-emphasizing the regular season in a way that didn't make actually winning games a real priority. So they only won 48. Win 49, like just one more, and you're the 6th seed in the West, getting ready to start a 7-game series against the Lakers. But the Grizzlies decided to play their starters on average fewer minutes than any other team in the NBA this season, and the result was 34 losses, which is to say one too many to make the top 6, avoid the play-in, and most importantly, avoid a possible first-round series with an Oklahoma City team that led the NBA and wins this season and is now the favorite in the betting markets to win the 2025 NBA championship. The approach to the regular season was counterproductive. Hopefully, a lesson was learned, and we never see that too cute approach again. But we've talked about that already and a lot. Nothing could be done about it now. As they say, it is what it is. So rather than continue to harp on that, let's focus on the task at hand. One game against the Mavericks tomorrow night. Beat the Mavs, and you get a chance to test yourself against the best and a chance to possibly shock the league. Lose to the Mavs, and your season is done after 84 games. Lose to the Mavs, and the Grizzlies will have gone from 2nd in the West on February 27th to missing the playoffs proper on April 18th. Lose to the Mavs, and it's a 7-week downward spiral that has already cost the full-time head coach his job and could do the same to the interim. Big bet Bennett, I know there are various opinions on whether the Grizzlies should even want to win this game tomorrow night. Win, and you probably get handled easily by Oklahoma City, and you also lose a 2025 first-round pick to the Wizards. Lose the game, you avoid getting possibly humiliated by Oklahoma City, and you get to keep your 2025 first-round pick. Now, I understand both arguments, right? I get it. But this isn't really a debate for me. I want to win the game. Are you conflicted at all about it?
No, I want to win the game too. I mean, I want to make the playoffs. I think that it would be nice to keep the draft pick just for. I don't think a rookie is going to help this team again next season. Although we have 2 rookies that helped this team this season, but I don't think they think that another late lottery pick is going to help this team next season. I think that pick's probably something you're using for something else, maybe as package, whatever. So I don't care about the pick really. I worry more about what it does for this team to not make the playoffs. Just the mentality of the team in general. Like it's a huge collapse to finish the season, right?
As we talked about yesterday with Vernon, you get eliminated in game 84, don't make the playoffs proper, go from 2nd in the West on February 27th to not even making the actual playoff bracket. Everything's on the table. Like, nothing is safe at that point. Like, everything is up for discussion at that point. You love your core 3, right? But, like, you can start having conversations about stuff if this thing finishes with a loss tomorrow night.
I agree.
You can love your coaching staff, but those conversations got to take place as well. And you can love your front office, but like Vernon said yesterday, when something like this happens, if it ends on Friday night, there is no telling what we're talking about on Monday. All right? And that's the worst case scenario for me. That is the worst case scenario. You lose tomorrow night. Take all the other stuff. I can acknowledge it, but all the other stuff falls under this. You lose tomorrow night. I'm going to keep this as simple as I can keep it. You feel like shit, and you don't know what you're coming back to next season. You don't know who's coaching. You don't know who's running things. You don't know nothing safe because it will be an undeniable 7-week collapse. To me, that's the worst case scenario. Yeah, I don't like losing a draft pick, and I don't love getting into a first-round series with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Right.
But the only way you can have a chance, even the smallest chance, to feel good about the way this thing ends, to feel like you're heading in the right direction, to feel encouraged, is to get in a series with Oklahoma City, and let's take a shot at it. Anything short of that, I can already tell you how you're going to feel. You lose tomorrow night, to a team that own fans don't even care about them anymore. That's the worst feeling. The worst feeling you could have as a Grizzlies fan, as somebody who cares about the franchise, is not losing a pick to the Wizards. It's not even getting embarrassed by the Thunder. The worst case scenario is getting eliminated at home on a Friday night as a 6.5-point favorite against a team, again, whose fans don't even like them anymore.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think that's true. Like after the Dents general manager traded a generational superstar in Luka Doncic to the Lakers for reasons he cannot even explain in any way that sounds logical or sensible, he has created a situation where their own fans don't even like the team anymore. They don't chant Derek Lively's name. They don't chant Anthony Davis's name. They don't chant PJ Washington's name. If you hear a chant inside their arena, it is fire Nico. You can't let that team end your season the night before the actual playoffs even begin. Simple as that. Lose tomorrow night, and who knows what we're talking about on Monday. Lose that game, and we could be headed for big staff changes, roster changes, front office changes. Everything is on the table if you lose tomorrow night. So let's not do that. Instead, just thank Nico for trading Luka to Los Angeles and then beat his goofy team and then take a puncher's chance against the Thunder. I know how that story will likely end, take a chance against the Thunder, but that's still the story I'd rather watch unfold. You cannot hit a homer if you don't swing the bat. You cannot win an Oscar unless you're in the movie. You can't shock the NBA world and give a disappointing season an encouraging ending unless you're in the actual playoffs. So the goal quite clearly should be to get there.
Yep.
8:30 tip tomorrow night. Tickets available, Grizzlies.com.
It's not going to be easy. I agree with everything that you said about Dallas, and I know you watched that game last night. Like,
they're big, and they got Anthony Davis, and I know Anthony Davis.
Got Klay Thompson. Like they got guys that have won championships.
They do not have Luka Doncic, and it does kind of get twisted around the Anthony Davis part of this story. Like Anthony Davis is awesome. He just should have never been traded for Luka Doncic.
Right.
But he's awesome.
Yes.
He just should have never been moved for Luka Doncic. The trade is ridiculous, but Anthony Davis is awesome. And, you know, when they're running out there a front line of Anthony Davis and Derek Lively, and your starting center's a rookie, and, you know, your starting power forward is unbelievable, but, like, can pick up fouls pretty quickly sometimes. Like, of course. I mean, I don't know if it'll be easy. It's a basketball game. We'll see. But I can envision them losing the game. Sure.
Yeah, I think like a lot. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and like tell you that the Dallas Mavericks are good, but they are. I think because of everything that's happened with that franchise, we just look at them as downtrodden because of how that's all gone over the past however many months. They're not as bad as people think.
They just went to Sacramento, and Sacramento stinks, and they hate themselves too. But they just went to Sacramento and like beat them.
Blasted them, yeah.
Like no, there is nothing crazy about the Mavericks winning tomorrow night against a team that has, in a span of 7 weeks, gone from second in the West to this.
Right, you're going to show up.
That has also fired his coach and lost 2 rotation players along the way. All right, there's nothing crazy about the Mavericks winning the game. I'm just saying, you are a 6.5-point favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Win the game, and then let's get to the first round series against the Thunder, and let's
Cinderella.
I mean,
Cinderella run.
This is the thing I keep circling back to. I know how it probably ends. If you told me I got to bet my paycheck on it, I'm gonna tell you the Thunder are probably gonna win in 4 or 5 games. All right,
right.
But stupid stuff happens in the playoffs all the time. You get to a game, you win tonight. Jad is healthy and amazing, and then you go to Oklahoma City, and it's like, all right, fine, lose game 1, but then game 2, Jaren knocks down 7-3. I don't know, like the stupid stuff happens.
Yeah,
Chet Holmgren turns something you ain't supposed to turn. Shai Alexander pulls something you ain't supposed to pull. These things happen in the playoffs all the time. They happen to the Grizzlies in the playoffs all the time. How many times are you looking forward to the playoffs and then it's game whatever and there's Ja Morant in street clothes?
Mm-hmm.
This stuff happens all the time. Let's keep John Morant in a uniform, put Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in street clothes, let's go place it. I know how a story probably ends, but you leave open the possibility of having a pleasant ending, encouraging ending to a disappointing season by getting there. You got to get there to even give yourself a chance. I know it probably won't go well, but it could. It could. 8 seeds have beaten 1 seeds before. 8 seed Grizzlies have beaten 1 seeds before.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hype you up and get you. I'm not trying to mislead you or whatever. I know how it likely ends, but it ain't guaranteed to end that way. Crazy stuff does happen. Mm-hmm. Injuries do pop up. Hot shooting does whatever. We'll see. But you can't see unless you get there. Mm-hmm. And the only way to get there is to win tomorrow night. So you got to win tomorrow night.
Please.
Mike Wallace is up next.
Grizz Nation gets set for tip-off 1 hour before every Grizzlies home game with the warm-up show. Get the latest news, notes, and analysis live from courtside at FedEx Forum.
Who's going to be the tougher team that rebounds and prevents second-chance opportunities?
Join me, Lang Whitaker, along with Michael Wallace, Jessica Benson, and other personalities from Grind City Media, Memphis, and around the NBA. 1 hour before every home game, live at Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
With a knockaway. Good defense. Durant attacking, spinning, hanging, and hitting. Let's go.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum, Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
I never in a million years would have ever thought that John Cena's final run would be as a heel.
I love it.
I love it.
Once they saw this from The Rock,
they knew it. Everybody knew it except for Cody, which was so good.
Great camera work by WWE.
And then the kick. Yeah, I don't think WWE gets enough credit for the camera work and the production quality. I mean, it is incredible.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. We're inside the Built Ford Tough studio, getting ready for tomorrow night's elimination game. Winner advances to a first-round series against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Loser is done for the season. Grizz Mavericks, 8:30 tomorrow night. Tickets available right now, Grizzlies.com. I know one person going to be in the building. That's Mike Wallace, Grind City Media. Joins me on Thursdays. He's here right now. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, man.
Good to see you in person.
Absolutely. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've seen each other funky fresh in the flesh, right? As they would say back in the 80s.
I hope you noticed when you pulled in, my tires are directly straight.
They are.
I never paid attention to how my tires were when I parked. I mean, literally ever until you put that in my head. And now my tire, no matter where I'm at, my tires are always straight. Let me tell you something really stupid. Like when I would pull into a parking lot my whole life, like Kroger or this parking lot, you name it.
Yeah.
If I'm going like this and then I pull in like this, I would leave my tires turned that way. And it would make me feel like when I back out, I have to go back out the same way, even if I actually need to come this way.
Yeah,
I would take the long way around because I felt it necessary.
Yeah,
and it never occurred to me, just move your wheels, idiot. You taught me that at the age of 48. I learned something from you.
Hey man, that's wonderful, man.
I'm a better parker than I've ever been.
And we're a much safer parking lot.
I think so.
You know what I'm saying?
I think so.
Look at that, man. It's just joy.
So. You know,
we accomplished something this season.
You're never too old to learn, and so I'm learning from you. I appreciate your guidance.
It's a joy parking next to you every day now, Gary.
I look forward to it myself. I just want to impress you. I just want you to see my tire straight and be like, he's learning, you know?
Absolutely.
He ain't got everything figured out, but he's trying. He's at least giving it a shot.
I see the effort, yes.
Tomorrow night, we get Grizzlies Mavericks. I've spent all week talking about it. It's just stupid that they put themselves in this position. And I don't mean by losing to a bad team here or there, or Ja Morant only playing 50 games, or Brandon Clark and Jalen Wells getting hurt. I mean, the approach to the season in de-emphasizing winning. They just de-emphasized winning in the regular season, and it ended up costing them in a way that I'm certain they didn't anticipate, because if they did, they wouldn't have approached the season the way they did. Hopefully they learned something from that as well as an organization. Either way, we are where we are. Mm-hmm. There is a debate. Maybe it's just happening on my iPad on social media, but it is happening there about whether or not the Grizzlies should want to win this game tomorrow night. The argument would be, you win it, you probably just lose to the Thunder. You lose it, you at least get to keep a first-round pick. Are you conflicted with it at all?
No.
I'm not either. To me, go win the game.
Absolutely not. And I can understand the rationale, but anyone who makes that argument is probably not a season ticket holder.
Right.
Is probably an analytics-driven, I'm smarter than everyone else in the room type of fan. And that's not what you play the game for. That's not what you go through training camp. And these guys put in all of these hours and hours of work and hard work, and people invest all of this money to do. If you can make a playoff in a market like this, you go make a playoff.
That's right.
This isn't New York, Chicago, or anywhere else where you have so many other options and things to do, and free agents are going to want to line up to come to your city. That's not what this is. The Grizzlies are in a situation where, look, that pick is a pick they already had anyway. Right? You traded away that pick. So now you have to covet it back again to basically say, hey, let me go get back a pick that I made a mistake in dealing out the first time. So put that pick aside. The last thing you need is another rookie coming in that you have to develop who probably won't be in the rotation next year. Right. And even if that's an asset, how valuable are first-round picks now anyway in the NBA when it comes to that? And what are you trying to get to come back to this team? So you go try to make a playoff, because I think your core needs to see what it needs to do. It needs the reality check of, this is Oklahoma City in a playoff situation. Here's what we have to do to get better next year. So, no, I have zero I'm 0% in favor of figuring out a way not to lose and land softly to get your pick back that you already had in a Marcus Smart deal.
I'm with you. Let's go win the game, because people tend to think of things through a best case scenario approach. Like, if this goes well, what will it look like? Maybe I'm risk averse. I'm always looking at the other side of it as well. What will be the worst thing that could happen? Like, let's start the conversation there. For me, the worst thing that could happen is, after being second place in the West on February 27th, you finish 8th in the standings, and then don't even make the top 8, playoffs proper, and get eliminated at home on a Friday night by a franchise whose fans want to murder the general manager for trading away a generational talent. That feels like hell. And we come back here on Monday, and I don't know what we're talking about the rest of the week.
Yes.
And I don't mean like I can't figure out what to talk about. I'll get the show done. I just mean, like, are we talking about big roster changes coming? Are we talking about another, the interim coach is out and another person is being hired? Are we talking about front office changes? Like, you lose to this team tomorrow night and everything is on the table. That's what I want to avoid. And beyond that, I know what the betting markets will suggest is going to be the outcome of Thunder Grizzlies. I would agree with them. It probably doesn't go well for the Grizzlies, but it could. Sometimes it does, and I just want to get in the game. Let's see what happens. Let's get in the game and let's see what happens.
Hey, that betting market would have been the same if it was Grizzlies Thunder, Grizzlies Rockets, Grizzlies Lakers, Grizzlies, Denver Nuggets.
They wouldn't
Grizzlies,
be expected
Clippers.
to beat any of them.
They wouldn't be expected to win any of those games, right? In terms of a series.
Right.
So you go out there and you say, you know what? Look, the pressure's completely off. Let's just go out there and play. When you have Ja Morant, and we'll get to Ja in a second, but when you have Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson available, That's what you have. That's what this is all built for. You can sell me on, hey, the Grizzlies are missing Jalen Wells and Brandon Clark. True.
Yeah.
But you didn't come into the season counting on either one of them to be a factor among your top 3 players going into the playoffs, right? They're role players. They're really, really good role players. But this is all built around those 3 guys. And when those 3 guys are available, that's how you evaluate where you are as a franchise. And for the most part, they're going to be available tomorrow. And if they can't get it done, then you have to really look at, okay, is this roster as it's constructed, is this going to be the roster that will eventually get it done? It's 6 years in now.
Right.
Not many franchises get 6 years with the same core anymore.
Well, that's the thing. And I've thought through it.
Yeah.
Because when something like this happens, you got to think through everything. And one of the things that would have to be thought through is, okay, this is our big 3, so to speak, but they have not accomplished much, and now if you take the conversation further and be like, okay, what do you do? I don't have an answer for that one right now, but I just know that these are the types of conversations that are going to take place, and it doesn't mean that winning tomorrow night will avoid those conversations, but losing tomorrow night
begins them for sure.
Yeah. And in a pretty intense way.
Because they're only getting more expensive. You're going into an off season right now where if win or lose tomorrow, you have to make room for what is going to be a $300 million contract offer to Jaren Jackson Jr.
Right.
We can debate later whether Jaren Jackson Jr. should have that kind of money based on accomplishments and resume, but that's where the market says he is right now, and you have to go make that deal. They're only going to get more expensive to keep together and it won't be commiserate to the level of accomplishment that you expected for a core that has that kind of wherewithal. This is going to be $200 million, $300 million, $250 million, basically. You got to show some more results if you're going to keep paying at a small market like this than that, for sure.
And I know that this franchise has a wealthy owner, thank God. And I know that he, sits in the back and doesn't say anything, right? But at some point, even super wealthy people are like, why am I paying hundreds of millions of dollars to a core that doesn't accomplish anything? Like at some point that question gets asked either to himself or to other people. Yeah. And so I would rather put that off as long as possible. Yeah. You mentioned Ja. What do we know as of 10/27, the day before an elimination game, 2 days after he turned his ankle in a pretty obvious way?
I mean, the fact is, by the time the game tips off tomorrow, Friday night, Ja will have had 48 hours to get extensive treatment, to get extensive rest and recovery, right? In his mind, as he walked out of the locker room and I looked right at him and he said, I'm playing, right? And that wasn't him just being defiant to get rid of the question. It was him saying, okay, I chose to come back in this game. I played 9.5 minutes after twisting that ankle. It's going to be sore tomorrow. Draymond Green even said, I don't know if he's going to be able to play Friday. You always got to look to Draymond Green for your injury report information, right?
Well, the only person who has said I'm playing is Ja.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say, too, if I were him and I just walked off the court and I'd played despite what had happened to me. But as you know, and as Draymond knows, as any basketball player knows, the next day is the key.
Yeah,
it's not the 20 minutes after you sprain the ankle.
Right,
it can be, but they can give you something, tape something, and you can get through that night sometimes. Ja clearly did. I don't know what he felt like yesterday morning. I don't know what he feels like right now. I guess the first status report we'll probably come around 5 o'clock today.
Yeah, and they practice today. They'll be on the practice court momentarily, and we'll be able to see
what
he's been able to do. Yeah, be able to see what he's been able to do. And now you just got the curtain probably raised. Saying that. You just snitched on us now.
We can't walk to the other studio and peek into the practice facility, but now they'll pull the curtains. We'll never see if Ja's on a bike or just on the court. We won't
Thanks
see.
a lot, Gary. See, I was giving you credit for pulling in a parking space perfectly. Now you just ruined it.
I still got some learning to do. I never said I don't still have room for growth.
But yeah, we'll figure out pretty much what the next step was for him today, and then where it leads tomorrow. I know he's not going to be 100%. Right. And if your job, you feel like you can do damage to the ankle going into the offseason, you don't want to take that risk. But if you're able, and Tuomas Isalo brought up, and I was thinking it's the same thing. He brought up a brilliant sort of comp, and he said, I remember seeing Isaiah Thomas live through the 1988 NBA Finals. I remember watching that game as a kid. That was a much more severe case, right? And an NBA championship was on the line. This is not an NBA championship on the line. So Ja will be smart. His people around him will be smart, and the Grizzlies certainly will be smart. And we'll get an update shortly this afternoon where he is.
What did you make of on Tuesday night, and I understand it might have been matchup driven on some level, Scottie Pippen Jr. being moved into the starting lineup.
Yeah.
But Vince Williams goes from starter to like barely plays.
Yeah.
Just a complete non-factor. I think it was 3 minutes.
Right.
Is that a Golden State Warriors thing, or is that of he's just not going to help us anymore?
That's, you know what? If you want to say what differences are you seeing from Taylor Jenkins to Tuomas Isalo, it's I will shorten this rotation in a heartbeat if I have to, based on what we feel.
Right.
And he's done that. Like, since he's taken over, you're not seeing 11 guys get opportunities to run anymore. You're seeing 7, maybe 8. And if you don't have it in that first stretch, then you can't help us right now. And I don't know if that's going to be, I don't know if that's working or not working, but he certainly went into that game feeling like, okay, I'm going to give this guy a chance. And if he can't do it, then I'm going to rely on the guys I could trust. And, Pat Riley used to always say, man, play 8, trust 7, right? And it might be play 7, trust 6 in the playoffs. So, look, Vince is a guy that he's going to have to go back to him, just like he's had to go back to Luke Kennard in stretches to see what he's got. But you see where his 7 guys are, and then if you're on that 8th guy, you'll get a chance. You may get a chance, and you better go out there and perform. But they're going to need him at some point. Right. They're going to need Vince Williams Jr. because of his defensive abilities, and they have to make it happen. Especially against a rugged, physical frontline team like they're going to face tomorrow.
Zach Edey continues to rebound at an incredible rate. It had some struggles on the offensive end, just finishing plays. Obviously, putting him in ball screens can become problematic. There's some obvious good there. There's some undeniable issues there. He is still a rookie playing postseason basketball, and it feels like that. What I just said is almost never a thing, by the way.
Right.
I know we had Devin Carter last night, but like rookies playing prominent roles in postseason basketball in the NBA is not a normal thing.
Right.
I do think some of the criticism is like forgetting that this is his rookie season. The whole Zach Edey experience, what do you make of what you've seen?
You have to give him the opportunity to learn and learn at warp speed in intense environments, and he's learning. He's getting better. He's, I think, top 3 in the NBA in rebounding in April. You know what I'm saying? I mean, his numbers of being on the floor, creating extra offensive opportunities for you by crashing the offensive glass speaks for itself. Tuomas Isalo always talks about how what you see with your own eyes with Zach Edey tells you one thing, but the metrics tell you something even further than that, right? So I like the fact that they're going to him and that they're trusting him. You mentioned a rookie being in this situation. Derek Lively was in that situation as a rookie on a Dallas Mavericks team that went to the finals.
That's right.
This is a different kind of player, but when you look at what has to happen tonight, you're going to need Zach Edey to be a monster in the paint, to be a deterrent, to be a defender, to be a guy that doesn't get in foul trouble, because you're going up against, and I say tonight, but tomorrow night, you're going up against Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Gafford, PJ Washington, guys that are going to crash the paint and are going to make it hard for you to get anything done inside the lane.
Last thing before I get you out of here, you mentioned the interim coach. He's obviously a bright basketball mind. I don't think anybody would dispute that. I enjoy his press conference in the sense that it sounds like he's actually listening to the questions you ask and answering them in a thoughtful way. All that stuff's good. All eyes are on him. And there was at least 2 moments from the loss to Golden State that got a lot of attention. The inbounds play, that's a failure on some level. Perhaps mostly on Santi, but you're supposed to, as a coach, you're supposed to put your players in a position to succeed, and they did not succeed. That on some level,
or have an extra timeout.
It's drawn some criticism,
right,
both from the TNT crew and among Grizzlies fans. And then the last 2-minute report comes out yesterday, and it details that when Ja poked the ball away from Steph with about 10 seconds left, that ball went off Steph Curry. The Grizzlies go from, in reality, being down 3 with about 5-6 to play, and you've got to draw up something to try to get Dez a shot in the corner. It didn't work. Vastly different being down 3 in that situation and being down 1. That's just to call 12. That's just to pop out, get the ball, call 12, let's go. I mean, it could change that game, change the whole season, change everything. And as DeMichael Cole detailed with Jess this morning, the coaching staff was not insisting that the officials need to go look at that, and they could have, and they just didn't. Is that also like an indication of something not so great?
It is, and you certainly have to look at that in that moment in retrospect, right? And then you say, okay, is this staff experienced in these kind of situations of having to make those decisions? One of the things that Coach Isalo has talked about was that his transition, there's a big gap. I mean, look, there's only 6 inches that separate top assistant from head coach in terms of how you're seated.
But it's way bigger than that.
But it's way bigger. And he used the term decision fatigue.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's such a brilliant guy. You talked about how articulate he is and how thoughtful he is. But he used the term decision fatigue when he talked about that being something that weighs on you as a head coach in that seat now more so than ever before. And in that moment, he probably was thinking, okay, their ball, next play.
Right.
Let me get these guys in position. I don't fault him for that. If you go back and break down that last 2-minute report, you know, there were 2 other plays that should have gone the Warriors' way that didn't. So it all kind of evens out. You mix in there Scottie Pippen missed the free throw. Right. That could have made it a 1-possession game, the whole 9. All of those things are true.
The foul that sent him to the free throw line was not supposed to be a foul.
It's not supposed to be foul. So it goes, like, it's enough of it that goes both ways. The last play as a result of, you know, when you talked about that timeout call, you should have known that the Warriors were going to load up on the three-point line and force you to pass it inside the three-point line. You have to have a counter where you say, okay, let's get the ball inside. We got 5 seconds. There's 2 passes that can be made in 5 seconds. Yeah. It shouldn't have just been all loaded up on one option. That's the part right there where I say, okay, was there a secondary or third option there that Santi had? And he didn't seem like he did.
It looked like to me like the first option was Dez.
Yep.
And that
he got held up.
And it got too long to develop.
Yep.
And by the time Santi either realized he can't make that pass or was uncomfortable making the pass or Dez didn't get where he needed to get, now we're
frozen.
Now we're clock ticking.
Yeah, now it's a glitch. Yeah. But if you go back and slow down that play, when you recognize that Dez wasn't coming loose, Luke dragged along right below the free throw line.
Yes.
And you have to hit him and then make Luke give a pass back to you, and you shoot a 3 from that standpoint.
They could have hit Luke early because Moses Moody didn't even
see him. He didn't even see him.
He did not. He was unsure to the point. You go watch it. He does something like the mannerism of
Moody.
Am I supposed to go?
He goes. Right.
There was a millisecond where he didn't know if he's supposed to go with Luke, and you could have hit Luke early. Maybe it results in nothing, but it was.
At least you get the ball in.
At least
you still have 5 seconds.
At least we're playing.
There's a lot to do in 5 seconds. We've seen that, and you're right. Moody almost looked like. Hold up, do they have 6 players on the floor right now?
He was lost
didn't account for
just for a second, but he was lost for a second.
Yeah, but we can always go back and do that kind of thing. The bottom line, get the win tomorrow. Get the win tomorrow. Erase that. You probably weren't going to win in Golden State anyway. That's a place you hadn't won in 5 years, 4 years. You have a chance to win on your home court to extend your season into the postseason. If you get it done, then guess what? First thing Saturday morning, a whole bunch of difficult questions will have to be asked of not just the roster, but everything from top down in terms of where's the direction of this franchise.
That is Mike Wallace, senior editor, Grind City Media. Find him, grindcitymedia.com. Back in the arena tomorrow night. 8:30 tip, Grizz Mavericks elimination game. Tickets available, grizzlies.com. You're the best, buddy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yep.
When we come back, turn our attention to some college basketball stuff. Penny Hardaway had a former McDonald's All-American on campus inside FedEx Forum yesterday. Played at Ohio State last season. Before that, Kentucky. I'll tell you about him. We'll do it next. Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South.
In honor of George Foreman, decided to do a pick 6 on 6 greatest heavyweight boxers of all time.
Number 4, my guy, Mike Tyson. There is no greater feat that I've had. Like if I had my Mount Rushmore of things that I've accomplished in my life, the very first time I beat Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson Punch-Out.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Grammy, Academy, and Golden Globe Award-winning superstar, Mary J. Blige, live in Memphis. The For My Fans Tour, live at FedEx Forum Saturday, April 19th, with special guests Neo and Mario. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The iconic Mary J. Blige, for one night only.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
The new issue of Slam, the cover dropped, and it is our friend Jaren Jackson Jr. on the cover.
And shout out to you, Lane.
Yeah.
You kept, I mean, we knew about it, but you kept this a secret the whole time. So shout out to you for
I wrote
putting
this story.
together.
We did the photo shoot a couple weeks ago here on a Sunday afternoon in the practice court. The Sneak Fest show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either, and that's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Penny Hardaway continues to try to roster build over at the University of Memphis. And yesterday, inside FedEx Forum on a visit, he had a young man who was a McDonald's All-American just 2 years ago. His name's Aaron Bradshaw. Are you familiar with Aaron Bradshaw, Bennett?
Not so much. Hit me with it.
He's a 7'1" center from New Jersey, McDonald's All-American, originally committed, signed with, and enrolled at the University of Kentucky to play for John Calipari. Had an up and down freshman season, more down than up. He started the season injured and just never got into any sort of rhythm. Once Cal moved to Arkansas, Aaron Bradshaw entered the transfer portal. He ended up signing with Jake Diebler, the first-year coach at Ohio State, for what I assume was a pretty good NIL check. I thought he would be one of those 5-star prospects who had an up-and-down freshman season, but get him into a new program, fresh start, stay healthy. I really thought he was, like, you can find it. I'm not proud of it. But if you go look at the first mock draft I did for the 2025 NBA draft, then the day after the 2024 NBA draft, yes, of course, it had Cooper Flagg going number 1, and it had Ace Bailey really high and Dylan Harper really high, and, you know, you hit on the big ones. But at the bottom of the lottery, like 13, 14, somewhere in there, I had Aaron Bradshaw.
Okay, I like this. I like this talk.
I'm gonna mess it up for you in a minute.
I still value McDonald's All-Americans.
So do I,
GP.
Bennett. So do I. I thought, okay, you get this guy a fresh start. He's immensely talented. This will be the breakthrough sophomore season for him. He only played in 22 games. He averaged 6 points and 2.7 rebounds. He just wasn't very good. And if you want to know why he only played in 22 games, it's because he was also suspended for part of the season after a domestic incident at an off-campus apartment.
Great.
No charges ever filed.
Okay.
All right. So who are we? You know, no charges ever filed.
Okay.
But just the word knucklehead has been thrown around a little bit. If you ask people about Aaron Bradshaw, the word knucklehead gets thrown around a little bit. Like, yeah, he's immensely talented, but he doesn't really love it, and that's the best explanation for why he has struggled through 2 years of college. But, hey, maybe Penny Hardaway can bring the best out of him. Are you optimistic Penny Hardaway can bring the best out of this young man?
Yes, I mean, because he tends to bring the best out of a lot of guys he brings in here. So, yes. It always does concern me a little bit about bigs, though, just because that's like one of those positions where, like you mentioned, there's talk that does he really love it or not. You know, when you're a big guy, like you play basketball, right? That's what
when you hear people say things about basketball players who are immensely talented, and they say things like, "But I don't know if he loves it." What that usually means, if you ask them to continue the conversation, what that usually means is, when he was young, he was tall. People said, "Oh, you're tall. You should play basketball." And that's why he started playing basketball. And then because he was tall, in part, he got good at it. And then he was in the practices and on the travel teams. And then he's just doing it and he's just good at it. But he doesn't love it like that. He didn't start playing basketball because he loved it. And he didn't keep playing basketball because he loved it. He started playing basketball because he was tall. And he kept playing basketball because he was good. But he doesn't love it. Yeah. And that's what some people would tell you about Aaron Bradshaw.
Yeah. So
I can't speak to it. I can't get inside the young man's head. But if you were to ask people who have been around him, that's the type of thing.
Gotcha.
That's the type of thing they would say. Here's the good news. Maybe he doesn't love it enough to stand out in the SEC.
I was just going to say.
Or the Big Ten. But if he were to sign with Memphis, he would be playing in the AAC. And you ready for this? Buddy, I ain't going to tell you there that he'd be the best player in the AAC.
Yeah.
Or even the best big in the AAC. What I am going to tell you is there ain't nobody else in the league that looks like him.
Yeah. When your first game of the season, you have like 20-10 against Charlotte, I think your mentals start to probably change a little bit.
A 7'1" freak athlete.
Yeah.
They ain't running. They ain't got them at Rice.
Right.
Okay. I don't think.
We get see. That's why I said Charlotte. We got to quit singling out Rice.
Who else?
We always say
decide
Rice.
Right now.
We always say Rice.
Okay, let's figure this out.
That is a proud academic institution, one of the best in our country, to be frank.
All right, I hear you. I see what you're doing. All right, and I respect what you're doing.
We got Charlotte, UTSA.
Let's figure out when we are trying to shit on the American Athletic Conference.
Don't always say Rice.
We can't always say Rice.
Right.
Rice is our go-to.
It's always our go-to.
Who else could it be? I think UTSA is pretty good.
Yeah, I saw that, Jim.
I mean,
I think we got
plus
to
it's
throw
just like
them in there.
UTSA. It's just like 4 letters.
I think we got to throw them in there.
People outside of the AAC, when they hear, like, if I walk to my neighbor's house today and I'm like, knock, knock, and they're like, what are you doing here? I say, I got to ask you a question. It's trivia time. And they say, what's up? And I say, what is UTSA? They'd be like, do they compete with FedEx? What are you talking about? Nobody knows what that is. They're road runners. We laugh about the Owls all the time, but there's also road runners in this league.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah.
There's also road runners. I say UTSA. I nominate UTSA to now be, anytime we're talking negatively about the American Athletic Conference, we bring them up.
Okay.
All right?
Deal.
So here's the thing you got to realize about Aaron Bradshaw. It's one thing when you're at Ohio State and you got to play. You got Michigan State's coming at you one day. Indiana's the next. UCLA's the next. That's a tough deal. This ain't that. It's going to be Aaron Bradshaw, McDonald's All-American from 2 years ago, 7'1", playing against UTSA.
Let's go.
What are we even talking about?
Let's go.
All right? So this is what's the best way to get your college career back on track? Come be a Tiger and beat up on Roadrunners and Owls.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I like it.
Come on, Aaron Bradshaw.
Come on now.
Move down here with us.
Number 2.
Interesting college basketball recruiting story from yesterday that has literally nothing to do with the University of Memphis or any other school that we care about. But I do think it's a sign of things to come, and I would commend this young man and his parents and anybody else who played a role in his decision-making process because he's doing this the right way. Kid named Josh Lewis, all right? He's ranked in the top 75 in the class of 2025. All right?
Okay.
This is a top 100 player. You know, we always talk about 5 stars and 4 stars and top 100. This is a top 100 player, top 75 player in the class. He originally committed to South Florida because he had a tight relationship with the previous coach, who unfortunately passed away before the start of the season. After that, he opened up his recruitment, signed with Iowa, going to go play in the Big Ten for Fran McCaffrey. Fran McCaffrey gets fired. He asked for his release from that and then reopens his recruitment. And had visited a couple of high majors, but yesterday announced a commitment, you ready for this, to Louisiana Lafayette.
Okay.
He's going to Louisiana Lafayette to play in a mid-major league for a mid-major program as a top 75 player in America. This is not normal. If you're ranked 75th in the country, I meant to do this and I forgot, but in fact, we'll do it right now. We'll do it together. Let's just do 10 years ago, all right? 10 years ago. The person ranked 75th in the country, signed with Kentucky.
Okay.
Charles Matthews.
Okay.
All right, that's just random, but that gives you, and the 74th player signed with Wisconsin, and the 76th signed with Miami. You're top 75 in the country. You are a high major player 10 years ago. Now, they don't even want you because what a high major program is thinking right now, I can get somebody ranked 75th in the country out of high school who's 18
or I can get a 21-year-old who just averaged 13 points per game in that same league. Well, why would I want the 18-year-old when I can take the 21-year-old? I've noticed it as I'm doing the top 25 and 1. These teams are strong, man. Houston at the top, Purdue is bringing back at least 2 All-American level guys, plus Fletcher Lawyer. They're bringing back 3 starters. Normally at Purdue, a place like Purdue in different times, you would now, okay, you've got your starting 1 in Braden Smith, you're starting 2 in Fletcher Lawyer, you're starting big in Trey Kaufman-Wren, but we lost our starting 3 and our starting 4. We're going to have to sign a high school player to fill that role, or bring one of our dudes who's been sitting on our bench and just hope that he can step into that role. Go from the bench to the starting lineup. That's the way this stuff worked. Now you know what Purdue did? They went out and added a transfer from North Florida who averaged 14 points per game last season, 6'7" wing, shoots above 40% from 3. So rather than taking a bench player or a high school player and putting him with Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer and Trey Kaufman-Wren, they just took an all-conference 21-year-old who shoots about, who just makes your team better. And you look at all the rosters in the top 10, they're all filled with experienced guys who have accomplished stuff at the Division I level. So what this young man, Josh Lewis, recognizes is I can go to a Florida or an Arkansas or a St. John's or some school like that, but odds are I'm going to be surrounded by guys who are 3 and 4 years older than me, and I'm going to be buried on the bench.
Yeah, I'm going to have to wait.
Why do I want to go sit on somebody's bench for a year when I can go to the mid-major level, be the most talented player on my campus, maybe the most talented player in my league from day one, start, get all the shots, average 15 points per game, then hop into the transfer portal next year. And now all these schools that aren't looking at me, now they're prioritizing me. Right. Now I'm the next guy who goes to Purdue when they have 1 spot to fill. I'm the next guy who goes to Michigan when they have 1 spot to fill. This is the way to do it. If my sons, any of them, were a top 75 college basketball prospect coming out of high school, I swear to God, this is what we're doing. We're starting our college careers at a mid-major and never planning to finish there. But we're not going to sit on the bench. You only get 4 years to do this. We're not going to sit on the bench as an 18-year-old behind a bunch of 22-year-olds. We're going to go to a campus where at 18, we will be the most talented person on the campus, one of the most talented people in our league. We're going to play. We're going to have fun. We're going to try to win games. Either way, we're going to put up numbers that make people pay attention. And then when we get into transfer portal at the end of the season, we ain't going to be an 18-year-old coming out of high school. We're going to be a 19-year-old that's more developed, has something that coaches can actually look at around the country and go, okay, that person can fill a role for us. Now we get the Mississippi State offers and the Missouri offers and the Wake Forest offers. And you know what comes with them? $800,000, $1.3 million. There ain't no big power conference program that wants to spend $800,000 on somebody ranked 75th in their high school class right now. But if you average 13 points per game in a mid-major league, they'll give you $1 million next year. You know where you can't average 13 points per game next season? On somebody's bench at the power conference level. Then you're still just the top 75 recruit who ain't done nothing. Go to a mid-major, do something, then get in a portal and let the bidding wars begin. I'll be interested to see how this young man's season goes and where he's at a year from now. But this is the way to do it. This ain't the way it used to get done. But unless you are an elite college basketball prospect coming out of high school, you need to be real careful about looking at the high majors right now because they will recruit over you in a second. And you'll get buried on a bench in a way that is not productive for you or your bank account.
Number 3.
The OTC Roman Reigns, who's getting ready to headline night 1, main event night 1. Get your ones up. He's main event in night 1 of WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. It's a triple threat match with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Granted an interview to Vanity Fair. Interesting. Did you read it?
I did.
Interesting interview.
It really, really was.
He's an interesting guy.
He definitely is. You don't know. I don't know a lot about him.
I don't either.
Besides in ring.
I don't. Yeah, but I find him to be an interesting guy. He said that he will fulfill his contract with WWE, which expires at the conclusion of WrestleMania 42, so next year. And he does believe that he will wrestle another year or two, but he turns 40 this year. And he said once this contract's done, maybe another year or two,
but then I need to find a less physical form of entertainment. I need to find a less physical job. Because as he explains, and I guess this is just common sense, but I never really thought about it in these terms. Like, there are only so many bumps you can take. And there are only so many chairs to the back you can take before it's too much. And I don't know what the number is exactly, but he seems to have the number in his head and seems to know that I'm getting close to it. I've put my body through a lot for a long time, and I can still walk around and live a normal life right now, but eventually you keep putting your body through this, you pay a price. And I know that, and you ain't gonna see me at 50 out here working every Monday night. I'm gonna be done with this probably by the time I'm 41, 42 years old. Does that make you sad? OTC.
It does. You know, he's obviously, he's 39 years old. I think he looks younger than Pete. He don't look like a 39-year-old to me. So it makes sense. Also, like his, you know, I think one of his mentors is The Rock, their family. And look at how his career went. You know, he was the star of the sport for, you know, a decade.
Do we think Roman Reigns is going to be a movie star?
I think he wants to be. I mean, he filmed a movie recently.
Sure.
I don't know when it comes out. You know, he's been in one of the Fast and Furious movies.
Like, it's just sort of weird. You go, well, like, look what The Rock did. I'll just do that.
But like, look what John Cena did.
Yeah, but not everybody can do that.
Not everybody
can do that. Like, The Rock did it, and John Cena could do it, and there's a handful of other people who have transitioned well into filmmaking. But, like, the idea that because you're a wrestling star, you can be a Hollywood star. Like that you're connecting a little too many dots. Although clearly he looks the right way.
He looks the part.
I mean, Jesus Christ, he looks. I saw when Raw moved to Netflix, suddenly you had this whole world of people who have heard of wrestling and WWE, but they don't look at it. You know, it's sort of something that just happens on USA Network. You know, unless you want to see it, you know. I can tell you this: before I got back into wrestling, you could say things like, you know who Drew McIntyre is? And I would be like, I've heard the name, but I couldn't put it together. And so same thing for Roman Reigns to most of America. My point is this, they put it on Netflix and suddenly people are like, I guess I'll turn this on. It's just on Netflix. And then I saw like there was a whole thread of like women and they were like, it was like pictures of Roman Reigns and they were like,
he takes a good picture.
They were like, so this wrestling looks interesting. Like he's a great looking man. He's like a great, like physical specimen. Like he's just a great looking man.
And you know, with The Rock, like,
and that's a part of Hollywood stardom is like, do you look the right way?
No question. I mean, you talk about The Rock, and I think The Rock's a good actor, better than people will give him credit for. But you know, for the longest time, it was The Rock makes a movie, and it doesn't matter what the movie is. It's just a box office. Like, it could be terrible. Like, he's made bad movies, right? But it did great at the box office because it's The Rock. It didn't really matter. And I wonder if
I don't think Roman Reigns is that.
I don't think he's that either. But I wonder, like, if you put him in some kind of, like, IP movie, you know, like if Roman Reigns is in Minecraft 2 or something like that. Well, if he's the star of Minecraft 2, right? Or something, whatever. Will people go? Yeah, I think people would show for it.
I don't think he moves the needle the way The Rock moves the needle.
I don't either.
Even like at the height of his championship run, we got to a point where The Rock coming in the building was the star of the show. It just was. But Triple H was interviewed for this story as well, and he did make it clear. Like, don't ever get it twisted. Cody Rhodes is our champ. Jey Uso can get the place hopping. But our biggest needle mover in terms of ticket sales is Roman Reigns. And he said it's not close.
Yeah, and Roman, like, he even talked about it in this story because I think a lot of people, I'm not annoyed. Like, I'm excited about. I'm not that excited. Honestly, the buzz is not huge for WrestleMania this year, but I'm excited. I'll get into it this weekend.
I will get into it, and I will expect to be fulfilled.
Yes.
I'll expect to go, oh, that was fun. But 2 days out of night one, it's like, the
buzz isn't massive.
The buzz is not where
like
it
was
should be.
last year. Not like it was last year.
Nothing close.
And so I was like, man, why aren't we just doing the trilogy, Cody Roman Part 3? And he even acknowledges that in the story that it's he thought it was probably overkill to do 3 years in a row where those two do the main event of WrestleMania. But I bet we get back to it. I bet you we get back to it. Well, if he is
already sort of announcing he's going to be a free agent after WrestleMania 42, and possibly not interested in wrestling much more, you would think one way or another they're going to circle back to making him the biggest deal by the time we get to next WrestleMania. Like, that will be about him, I would assume. But what happens between now and then, not sure. The prevailing thought seems to be that something that happens on Saturday night in that triple threat match will play a role and lead into something on Sunday. But as always, we'll see. Either way, I did think it was interesting that you hear all these debates on social media all the time, like, who's the real star? Well, the guy who runs it tells us, like, I got access to all the numbers and all the tickets, and I know who moves needles and who doesn't. And it's Roman Reigns. And everybody else is below him. You can love Cody Rhodes, you can love Jey Uso, you can love Gunther, whatever you want, Seth Rollins, CM Punk. A lot of stars, but Roman Reigns is the biggest.
By the way, Triple H did an interview the other day, and I don't remember. It was with one of the guys that is part of that whole WWE universe. And it was really good. And he he took shots at some of like the old heads who talk about, wrestlers not staying in character all the time these days and breaking kayfabe and things like this. And he also talked about like people these days on the internet that spoil, like you mentioned, like something with night one's gonna have something to do with night two. He talked about how those accounts are like ruining the aura of wrestling, like like spoiling it for other people. I thought it was interesting.
Most people ain't in the weeds like that. All right,
I think that's true. I think that's
most
true.
People just aren't.
Me and you are, right?
Yeah, if you live on the internet, you will hear and see all sorts of theories about all sorts of things. But most people don't live their life like that. It's only some of us live our lives like that, and then we only live our lives like that about things that we care about. Here's an example of that. So I was listening to a podcast last night, the Dissect podcast that that breaks down music. And this episode, the guy who hosts the podcast brings on another guy he's done podcasts with, and they want to discuss the GNX Kendrick Lamar album, just track by track. What are their favorite tracks? What are the general thoughts on the album? And do any of these songs belong in a case next to the best tracks from Good Kid, Mad City, or To Pimp a Butterfly, or Mr. Morale, or Damn, or whatever? And so they're talking about that, and they get to the song Peekaboo, which was performed at the Super Bowl. And Cole Kushner, the host, asked the other guy, his name's Charles, he's like, have you heard the theories about how Peekaboo connects to XXX Tentacion? And I knew exactly what he was talking about when he said that. In fact, the reason I knew exactly what he was talking about, because I'd seen it, but like my 8-year-old son brought it to me. And he's like, Dad, did you know Peekaboo was about XXX Tentacion? Because he had watched some TikTok video about it or something. All right? My point is that this other music critic named Charles, who is like it's his job to consume music, and specifically hip hop, and was prepped to do a podcast, 2-hour podcast about the GNX album. And he was like, I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that. Here's my point. If you are really in the weeds on this stuff, you'll see it. But most people aren't looking for it and don't see it. So these wrestling theories that Triple H is bothered by, most people don't see them. There are times where I go on like Twitter searches, I'll be like, so what's going to happen with CM Punk?
And someone will have something.
And then I get all these ideas, and then I come back and share them with anybody who cares about them. But most people aren't going through those searches. Like, I just sit right here all day long, and I'm constantly looking at stuff. And so there's probably nothing you'd be able to tell me about the GNX album that I haven't run into at some point. And very little you'd be able to tell me about WrestleMania upcoming that I haven't seen theories about. But most people don't live that way. I also, for the season finale of The White Lotus, as I told you, every big thing that happened in the final episode had been placed on my radar by somebody just guessing on the internet. I bet you this person's going to die. I bet you this person is actually so-and-so's somebody something. All these theories out there. And if you go looking for them, you'll find them. And then maybe that'll spoil it for you. But you don't have to look for these things. It's not like they just hit you right in the face every day. And so wrestling would be the same type of thing. Either way, you can't control it. The Last of Us gets one episode. And then if you Google Last of Us theories, people are out there guessing about where they think it's going to go.
Yeah.
This is just the way the internet works.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'd say worry about what you have to worry about, control what you can control, and just focus on putting together a great show for this weekend. And if some people happen to spoil it on the internet with good guesses, who cares?
Number 5.
Con Knippel? Nope. We're on number 4, Bennett.
Oh, we're on number 4.
I know it might feel like we're on
Sorry.
number 5,
Sorry,
but
guys.
just 4. Just 4. Con Knippel made it official yesterday. He's going to enter the 2025 NBA draft. He'll be one and done star at a Duke. He was overshadowed in many ways because he's Cooper Flagg's teammate. Like he was Robin, never Batman. You know, he was always set up to be Robin, not Batman. But he's probably going to be a top 10 pick. He's a terrific NBA prospect, and you get caught up in some stereotypes when people start talking about him for obvious reasons. But like,
what stereotypes?
Well, here's the thing. People would say, oh, yeah, I bet he can shoot. Well, he can. He's a great shooter. Yeah, but not that athletic. Yeah, it's true. He's not that athletic. And you just fall into these stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
Here's the truth, though. He's not an athlete by NBA standards, but he's athletic enough.
Okay.
He's not a poor athlete. He's just not Russell Westbrook. All right? Oh, I bet he's going to struggle to guard his position. Maybe. But, like, he guarded okay at Duke. Like, it wasn't like he got targeted and picked on. He's just a rock-solid basketball player whose greatest strength is, yes, that he's a 6'7" shooter. If you're looking for player comps, like something like Cam Johnson, that's what he projects to be. But when you hear people talk about him and fall into these cliches, just know that they're not entirely true with him. He is a great shooter, yes, but he can also play make. He can bounce it a little bit. You can set him a ball screen, and he can play in pick and rolls. He can move the ball. He can guard his position, not in a way that's going to make him be all first team all defense probably, but there are a lot of things that he brings to the table that aren't going to be concerns that you might otherwise have with a quote unquote spot up shooter. That is his biggest strength. In a league where shooting has quite literally never been more valuable or desired, he comes to this as an elite shooter. High volume, knockdown. He can make these shots.
Okay.
But he can also play make. He can also guard a little bit.
Good.
There are other things to his game that I think get discounted because he's so great at this one thing. And because when a person who looks like him is so great at this one thing, it ain't never too long before somebody starts talking about Larry Bird. He's not Larry Bird. He's closer to Cam Johnson than he is Larry Bird. But he's going to be a real NBA player for a long time. And if we look up and we go, oh, man, that Duke team that lost in the Final Four, all we ever talked about was Cooper Flagg. But this Con Knippel has turned into a 20-point per game scorer and borderline all-star level guy by year 3 or 4 or something like that. Like, that's not crazy. He'll be a top 10 pick and probably one of 3 lottery picks for the Duke Blue Devils, which will make that collapse against Houston hurt even more forever.
Number 5.
It's the end of an era at ESPN. Lee Corso has announced that his final appearance on College Game Day will be in week 1 of this season. In other words, we will not get a entire final year of Lee Corso. We will get one final appearance, and that'll be it for the 89-year-old. Your thoughts?
I'm glad that they're giving him a send-off. I actually like the timing of it, like when they're going to do it, because who cares about week 1? It's not like you can focus on Lee Corso's retirement heavily in that show, right? Like you can play all the hits, have all kinds of segments with him. You get to really celebrate that guy in week 1 because the stakes just aren't as high as they are in week 5 or
something
6.
to that.
Yeah.
Sure. I think the larger thing here is that you don't have to do week 2 or week 3.
Yeah.
Or week 4. It got uncomfortable.
It definitely did.
It just did. I say this as, I don't know Lee Corso, but I have close friends who work with Lee Corso and have worked with him for years, and they love the man. All right. Yeah. He is beloved. They love this man. And I always thought it was really sweet the way Kirk Herbstreit would almost carry him through
segments and stuff. Yeah.
These struggles that you have when you can have when you're 89 years old. Like, I don't say this as a criticism at all because it's amazing that he could talk on television
throughout his 70s and 80s. I don't imagine I'll be capable of doing that for one reason or another. But at some point, he started to sound his age and look his age. And I don't even concerned about the look as much as the sound. Again, as respectfully as you can say it, but he was struggling to put sentences together. It was a lot like watching former President Biden speak on camera over the past year. He'd get lost and you'd struggle to make coherent thoughts, and just stuff that happens to you as you age. You know, we should all be so lucky to reach 89 years old.
Of course.
But just know that if you do, life will be harder for you at 89 than it was at 79 or 69 or 59. And I'm not one of those people who think you have to age out of anything. I was a young person once upon a time, coming up into this business. Now the young people look at me as the older guy in the business, right? I hope we're not pushing out old people, because I'm old people now.
That's right.
All right?
That's ageism.
We ain't gonna stand for that.
No.
But I do think, regardless of your age, when you can't do the job anymore, you don't need to do the job. And that could be at 40 or 89. And he reached a point where the job that's required, speaking on television, couldn't do it. It was very difficult and very uncomfortable. I've talked about this before. I'm going to take my sons to see Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson this summer here in Memphis because, A, they want to go because they got caught up in the Bob Dylan movie, and then they started listening to Bob Dylan, and they want to go see Bob Dylan. And I want them to be able to say,
it's awesome. I
saw Bob Dylan and I saw Willie Nelson. But I am not excited about going, because I know what I'm going to watch is a diminished version of Bob Dylan and a diminished version of Willie Nelson. And I love both of those men for different reasons. At least I love their work for different reasons. Both brilliant songwriters, very different songwriters. The songs are very different. I love them both equally. It'll be a sweet thing to do with my family, but I don't like looking at Willie Nelson sitting in a chair struggling to do what he did better than anybody for decades, and that is what we will see. And I don't like Bob Dylan sitting behind a piano, barely singing songs in a way that he used to could perform very differently. I don't like seeing the diminished versions of people. I talked about this before with my grandmothers. I didn't like going to see my grandmothers in their last years just because I didn't like seeing them that way. And this is a personal thing that I probably need to deal with, but I struggle with that in a real way. And again, Lee Corso is not my grandmother's, but I didn't like turning on game. I would turn it off because I would get uncomfortable watching him struggle. I don't like watching people struggle. And so I think this is proper. Give him the send-off, but then it was time to move on. You could do a Twitter search literally every College Game Day that he was on last year. Just as soon as he's on TV, just type Lee Corso and see what pops up. And it was a lot of the same comments about, this is, somebody should step in and say, man, you don't, how about this? I'll put it this way, then we'll move on. If Lee Corso were my father, at some point over the past couple of years, I would have put my arm around them and said, Dad, you don't need to do this anymore. It's getting tough, and you don't need to do this anymore, all right? You've worked hard enough, and this is not, it's time for us to do something different. I would have had that conversation, I think. And so I don't know if somebody had that conversation with Lee Corso, but either way, you get to a place that I think is sensible. Celebrate him today, celebrate him on that Saturday morning of week 1, and then let him gracefully walk into retirement, and I hope he enjoys it for 50 years or something like that. Be back with GP's Carryout.
We touched on this earlier, the panel here, about what really has been the mainstay of the Grizzlies, and that's Jaren Jackson Jr. Trip has just been awesome.
He's posting guys up. He's stronger than he's ever been. He's physical, and he's scoring all type of ways.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizz Beat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
I need cameras to capture every waking moment between Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston on the same team. The pregame prayers will be generational.
Because that's preacher and a deacon. That's what we're talking about here. That prayer's going to be 40 minutes. We're going to miss the anthem.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. Let's wrap this up with GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
A whole bunch of stuff, but we mostly focused on your Memphis Grizzlies because after the Mavericks eliminated the Kings from the postseason last night, it set up an elimination game for tomorrow night inside FedEx Forum. Mavericks Grizzlies 8:30 tip. Tickets available Grizzlies.com. This, of course, comes after the Grizzlies on Tuesday night lost to the Golden State Warriors. And yesterday afternoon, as we mentioned earlier, the last 2-minute report came out and confirmed that when Ja poked the ball away from Steph with about 10 seconds to play and that ball was given back to Golden State, the truth is Ja poked it, but then it hit off of Steph and went out of bounds. That should have been Grizzlies' ball. And I've heard DeMichael and Jess talk about this earlier today. Mike Wallace said something similar, and I totally get the point. The point being, hey, it never comes down to one play. A lot of different plays. And really just in the last 2-minute report, there are things that went the Grizzlies' way that should have went Golden State's way, and so it just sort of all balances out. And whether that's technically true or not, I understand the sentiment, right? But I don't know, I've never subscribed to no one play determines the outcome of a game, that theory. I've just never really subscribed to that because sometimes it does. And I know a lot of things lead to a moment, but there are times where you are in a moment and now this moment is going to decide the game. It don't matter how you got here. You're just in a moment and now we're deciding the game. You ready for this? We just all watched the Masters over the weekend, all right? And Roy McIlroy wins it.
Yep.
In a playoff. And he wins it by making a putt on the first playoff hole. He shot a 73 on Sunday. And then with the playoff par 70, or was it a birdie? It doesn't matter. You'll get the point. He swung the club 73 times on his first 18 holes on Sunday. Any shot of those 73 could have, quote, been the difference in his round.
Yep.
But it does come down to one thing eventually. On 18, it's you make this putt, you win the green jacket. Missed it, you got to go to a playoff. Make this putt, now you win the green jacket. If you miss it, you got to go to another playoff. All right? It does come down in that moment to, like, if he would have missed the putt in the playoff and then lost the playoff, I guess somebody would have said, well, he missed a putt on 7 too. Or, if he wouldn't have hit the ball into the trees on 12. I like all these other little things, but I don't give a shit. It all comes down to this. You're in this moment, do this. To circle it back to the Grizzlies, same type of thing. I know that everything that happened in the first quarter played a role in the outcome of the game, and the second quarter, and the third, and every play, and this and that, and any whistle, and whatever. But you were in a moment, despite everything happening, you reached a moment where if that call is challenged in real time, reviewed in real time, what the NBA told us yesterday is that the Grizzlies would have been in a moment where rather than being down 3 in the final seconds and needing to try to get a skip pass to the corner to Desmond Bane, you're down 1 in the final seconds with the ball. And you know what? That's a totally different scenario. You go from having to design something, running Dez off screens to try to get him something in the corner, to it's just as simple as we're calling 12. You get involved inbounds to Ja, and you maybe you give him a ball screen, maybe you don't, but like he's going to decide this. And I don't know if you know, but he's like not only one of the great clutch players in the NBA right now, he's one of the great clutch players of all time in terms of shooting percentage in these moments. So if that is just either called correctly or reviewed, the Grizzlies do find themselves in a moment where the likelihood of you winning the game increases dramatically. Down 3 with a handful of seconds to go is dramatically different situation than down 1 and you can just call 12. Perhaps the most unguardable player in the NBA. You need him to try to make himself unguardable one more time and make a shot, which he does over and over again. So that's like I know a lot of things led to that moment, but that's a moment. And as DeMichael mentioned earlier, like the coaching staff was not up screaming, yelling, you got to look at that, you got to look at that, you got to look at that. And that's another type of thing that, when you are an interim coach coaching for your job, these are things people notice. These are things that people notice. And so, yeah, a lot of things led to that moment. But if that moment would have been handled differently, you would have found yourself in a situation, you're only down a point, and you can put the ball in Ja's hands and see if you can go win a game. And rather than now trying to win a game on Friday night to set up a series with the Thunder, you'd already be headed for a 7-game series against the Rockets. Could have changed everything.
Yeah.
Could have changed everything in that moment. And, well, you know how it went.
What's today's biggest game?
We're going to go Major League Baseball because we're off the NBA tonight.
All right.
Can I interest you in the Angels and the Rangers?
Sure.
And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because making his 7th career start on the mound, Kumar Rocker. You remember Kumar Rocker?
From Vanderbilt? Yeah.
Big pitcher, hard-throwing pitcher, was like a star at Vandy. And then was a top 10 pick in the draft by the Mets. And remember, they refused to sign him because they found problems with his arm.
That's right.
And they just said, he's broken. We're not going to. And basically, he just went back into the draft the next year. Texas picked him. And tonight, he will be making his 7th start. He's not off to a great start. 0-2 this year. 3rd start of the season. His first 2 starts, 0-2. 7.94 ERA. That's not how you win Rookie of the Year. That's not how you win Rookie of the Year. Angels, Rangers. 7:05 Globe Life Field down in Arlington. I can get you a Texas -150 or the Angels at +125.
I think I'll take the Rangers just because, they're better, but God, that 0-2 is scary for Kumar Rocker. But no, he's going to get his first win tonight. Give me the Rangers just because the Angels are one of those, select handful of franchises that just don't care about winning. At all.
Don't seem
they
to.
They don't care.
Bennett says never bet on a team that doesn't care about winning. He's labeled the Angels that way. He's taking the Rangers -150 tonight. Kumar Rocker on the mound.
What are we watching on TV?
Can I interest you in Ransom Canyon?
Sounds intriguing.
Ransom Canyon. Dropped today on Netflix.
Okay.
It's available right now. Ransom Canyon. Starring Minka Kelly. Remember Minka Kelly?
Kind of.
What do you mean kind of? You don't have a memory of Minka Kelly? I thought everybody had a memory of Minka Kelly.
Hold, please.
She's the type of person you remember, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I remember her. She was in
Friday Night Lights.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember her. She looks a lot like the girl that was in Gossip Girl.
Leighton
Meester.
Leighton Meester.
She kind of looks like her. That's what I thought it was when I first clicked on the picture.
I could see that. People like Minka Kelly.
Okay.
She's starring in Ransom Canyon. It's a romantic Western television series based on the Jodie Thomas series of books.
I like a Western.
It's a romantic. Think of it as a Reese Witherspoon movie, but with cowboy hats.
Okay.
Can I interest you in a Reese Witherspoon movie starring Minka Kelly with cowboy hats?
This is a movie, you said?
It's a television series. I'm sorry.
It sounds like a Lifetime movie.
Except it's on Netflix, baby. Netflix.
I'm going to pass.
James Brolin is in this.
I'm going to pass.
The great Casey W. Johnson is in this.
I don't know who any of these people are.
I mean, you have to know who James Brolin is.
I know Josh Brolin.
Well, you have to know James.
Is that his dad?
Probably.
Hold, please.
Josh. Josh's dad.
Son.
Josh's dad is in this.
I know James.
Of course you do.
I'm familiar with James.
I thought you might be interested in Ransom Canyon. Turns out you don't even know who Minka Kelly is.
I like my Westerns to be...
I might need to look at your Google history if you ain't Googled Minka Kelly in the past 20 years.
To be bloody and historically accurate.
Okay, calm down. All right. All right, calm down. This is a romantic Western. Like I think Minka Kelly's going to end up doing it with somebody. That's what I'm predicting.
Okay.
At some point she's going to take her little cowboy hat off and get down to business. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You hear what I'm saying?
I mean, there's not a lot to do tonight. So.
Not a lot to do tonight. Might as well start Ransom Canyon.
Okay, fine.
It's a Western, but with romance. Kind of like what's that Western with my fellas in it?
Lonesome Dove?
No. It had Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, Brokeback Mountain.
Just like Brokeback Mountain.
Great movie, by the way.
Just like Brokeback Mountain. It's a little different. Just a little different.
Brokeback Mountain is a great movie.
I think so.
Like a really great movie.
Nobody's arguing with you about that, are they?
Yeah, but people get all like uncomfortable and stuff. Like, it's a great movie.
We now live in a world where on an HBO series, two brothers can have sex with each other. All right? So I don't think we should be worrying about Brokeback Mountain anymore, right?
I think you're right.
In fact, I don't think we ever should have worried about Brokeback Mountain, if you want me to tell the truth.
Great movie, directed by the great Ang Lee.
It's a great movie, directed by the great Ang Lee. This is an updated version of that, just slightly different.
Okay.
Starring Minka Kelly. Ransom Canyon, it dropped today on Netflix.
What's the best thing we've read?
I think it's the Vanity Fair piece on Roman Reigns, the original tribal chief. We're now 2 days away from WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't read it yet, you can find it vanityfair.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow's going to be Friday. It's a big day.
It's a huge day.
It's a big day.
It's a huge day.
I mean, a huge day. We got Grizzlies Mavericks in an elimination game on a Friday night. ESPN coming to town. Win.
And you're in.
Win and you're in. And we're going to try to trick ourselves into thinking it's going to go well.
Mm-hmm.
What is the point in not believing something good is going to happen?
Believe Memphis.
You know what I read?
Believe Memphis.
You know what I read on the internet? They said about 90% of the stuff you worry about that you think is going to go badly never even happens. Mm-hmm. So do I think it's going to go badly against the Thunder? Yeah, probably. But on the internet, they said don't worry so much. That's what the internet told me. Don't worry so much. So I'm going to refuse to worry. Mm-hmm. I'm going to believe that the Mavericks will be eliminated tomorrow. Thank you, Nico. Thank you, Nico, for making this easier than it otherwise would have been.
I bet he'll be here.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, he'll be here.
I hope so. Will you start a Fire Nico chant?
I won't.
Start a Thank You, Nico chant. Thank you, Nico. That's what the Grizzlies need to do. This is my request. As the game is unwinding, we're in the final 44 seconds, and Jay Huff's in there
getting some mop-up duty time.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a chant inside FedEx Forum. Thank you, Nico.
Okay.
If the Grizzlies have this control in the final seconds, a thank you, Nico chant. Thank you, Nico, for trading Luka Doncic and making this easier than it otherwise would have
I
been.
actually wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Thank you, Nico.
It's a pretty smart fan base. I mean, they know what's going on.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Nico. You could think about this. If Nico Harrison doesn't make the dumbest trade in the history of professional sports, you'd be dealing with Luka Doncic tomorrow night.
That's true.
Imagine you were sitting here tomorrow night.
Well,
Imagine
I'm
you
sure they're probably sitting differently. I doubt they would be playing in this game.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
Yeah, they probably open in a first-round series versus the Rockets.
The Grizzlies are probably playing the Kings tomorrow night or something, right? Yeah. Thank you, Nico.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing what you did. I don't understand it. Nobody does. But I'm glad we don't have to deal with Luka Doncic tomorrow night.
I am too.
All right. Thank you, Nico. It's going to be a big day.
Yep.
Go win the game, and then let's talk ourselves into how this Thunder thing's going to happen.
Okay.
All right? That's what I plan to do.
Me too.
That's how I'm going to spend my next 48 hours. All right? Let's meet back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good, rep your hood.